Boruto's mission is a total disaster. Borushiki has finally awakened. Sarada is in deep trouble. Shikamaru is about to get kicked out of his Hokage seat, and a brand new storm for the future has just begun. Yeah, at least that's the perfect title to describe everything that went down in chapter 36. But before we dive in, I'm Nim, without the E. Help me beat the algorithm by dropping 100 likes or giving this a 1K hype point. And once again, thank you so much, guys. So yeah, since these are full spoilers and a lot of the leaked texts aren't 100% accurate yet, I've summarized the most important points for you guys right here. First and foremost, after Koji's hideout was exposed at the end of chapter 35, he and Amado were captured. Since Kawaki is heavily involved in this too, there was something major that needed to be done ASAP before Boruto found out and before Koji could get any future updates. Long story short, Amado had something personal to discuss with Koji first. But right now, Koji is completely trapped. His hands, feet, and body are sealed, meaning he can't use any jutsu at all. Second, once Koji wakes up, he and Amado have a brief chat. As we all know, they used to be partners. To be precise, Koji was actually created by Amado to destroy Jigen and expose Ishiki's true identity. During their talk, Amado even admits he's pretty impressed that Koji managed to survive and push through. Third, regarding the suspicions about Koji's 10 paths, or prescience ability, turns out Amado understands it inside out, both its strengths and its fatal flaws. Interestingly, Amado even knows that the ability was updated 4 days ago, specifically right before the fight against Mamushi happened. What's even cooler is that Amado exploited a loophole from the moment that ability updated. In other words, knowing how it works, Amado chose to kidnap him to force a completely different branch of the future. Simply put, Amado forcefully changed a future timeline that Koji didn't even see coming in his update 4 days ago. Koji never foresaw that Amado would kidnap him because when Koji last got his update, this specific future hadn't even been created yet. Reality has shifted, and we are now on a totally different branch of the future. Pretty wild, right? Fourth, Amado reveals that the biggest weakness of the 10 Paths prescience ability is that it has blind spots within the predictions themselves. According to Amado, Koji was too naive. He thought everything would just go smoothly, and that overconfidence became his blind spot. Here comes the plot twist. At this point, Amado makes several adjustments to caching Koji's brainwave patterns. The reason and purpose behind this might sound very similar to what Amado did to Kawaki. Yep, it's all about control. Amado believes that all the information provided by Koji's Shinjutsu ability is incredibly valuable. However, after observing the kidnapping scenario, especially the long delay between future updates, which turned out to be a major weakness, Amado decides to shorten the interval between each update. Yeah, you know what I mean, right? Simply put, if those updates previously arrived every week or every 4 days, they would now be refreshed much more frequently. And the biggest advantage of this adjustment is that Koji would receive more accurate and faster information, making it much easier for him to deal with dangerous situations as they unfold. Fifth, Amado reveals the clone of his daughter that he created, and it now seems like Kawaki is going to transplant his karma into that vessel. Yep, Akebi. But unfortunately, that's only a question, not something that actually happened. Amado simply asks Koji whether he has ever seen that future, one where Kawaki implants his karma into Akebi's clone. Sadly, Koji reveals that up until now, he has never seen such a future even once. Sixth, out of all the memories Koji has witnessed so far, especially those connected to Akebi, the most shocking fact is that in almost every single one of them, Kawaki ends up being killed by Jura. Seventh, after the conversation, or rather, the interrogation, Amado finally removes all the seals on Koji's body and sets him free. Koji then returns to his hideout, but unfortunately there isn't much time for a lengthy conversation. Especially with Boruto there, Koji suddenly feels dizzy, as if the future itself is changing, just as he tries to ask Ida to look at what happened several hours earlier in Amado's lab, particularly what Amado did to him. And these are, at the very least, some of the new future updates after the modifications, or rather, after the adjustments that accelerated the process by shortening the interval between each future update. Even though the exact timeline of these updates isn't fully revealed, we get a ton of quick flashes from the future. For example, we see a hat with the Land of Fire emblem, Kobu smiling, a piece of the Hokage cloak, Konohamaru looking super tense, and Jura cooking alongside Shikamaru while bringing out a dish for a taste test. Mogi also looks worried. Hidari reaches his hand out towards Sarada again, and Sarada reaches back out to him. Then we see more tree roots, an unknown Konoha Jonin, Himawari Kawaki's Karma, Boruto's horn, Sarada's belt buckle, and Borushiki with a fully formed horn. 8th. And the most shocking part is that the plan to use Sarada as bait completely fails. Yeah, while Sarada is walking through the middle of Konoha village, Code suddenly appears behind her. But at the same time, Code senses and recognizes the symbol or pin that Boruto usually uses to teleport. At the same time, Boruto learns about this through Koji. And even though Koji briefly warns Boruto not to go, unfortunately, Boruto ignores him as usual. He immediately teleports and quickly rushes to save Sarada. But once again, it is all for nothing. Sarada has already been kidnapped by Code, and she isn't carrying the 2 pins that Boruto previously gave her. This means Boruto has no way to save Sarada, and she now has to fight entirely on her own without Boruto's help. Yeah, that's at least the final conclusion, with the 2 pins left behind. 10th. I think this part is super important, so don't skip it. After a few chapters of delayed interrogation, especially after Kobu survived and didn't die thanks to Boruto saving him, Kobu is still in massive denial. He's out here theorizing that the whole thing was just an act. He refuses to believe that Boruto actually saved him from being surrounded by the Shinju. Since he thinks it was just a coincidence, Kobu stubbornly insists to the Konoha elders that this is all a scripted scenario orchestrated by Shikamaru, working hand in hand with Boruto. Not only that, Kobu suspects there's another faction allied with them. In other words, Kobu is absolutely convinced that stopping the interrogation was a deliberate, perfectly planned strategy to make everything look legitimate. Because of that explanation, Koharu and Homura are now even more convinced that everything happening in Konoha lately is Boruto and Shikamaru's fault. They especially believe that the Shinju coming to Konoha was Boruto's intentional doing to lure them into the village. Overall, Kobu concludes that Shikamaru, as the Hokage, has completely betrayed the Hidden Leaf. As a result, Kobu has already sent a report to the daimyo and is just waiting for official approval. And what does that approval mean? It means getting fired. Yep, Kobu has officially requested the daimyo's permission to remove Shikamaru from his position for affiliating with Boruto, letting Boruto off the hook during the interrogation and all that stuff. With all this chaos, Kobu wants Shikamaru to take full responsibility and pay for his mistakes by losing his Hokage title. But basically, at this point, Kobu still wants to dig up much more solid evidence. The moment that evidence is found, Shikamaru will be officially fired. And yep, I think those are the only 10 points you need to know for now. Also, just a heads up, next month, Chapter 37 will be on a delay and will release in September instead. So there won't be a new chapter next month. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And once again, since these are spoilers, I purposely didn't use official manga panels or explain the story flow step by step. I have to take these preventive measures to keep this account safe from any copyright strikes. I hope you guys understand and can still enjoy the breakdown. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm Nim without the E. See you guys for the full Chapter 36 review on the 20th. Bye-bye. Data bio.